I didn't make James a fancy dinner, and I don't know what he'll be reviewing. I don't have much to say about that right now. But anyway, let's see how it goes.
I'm going to get a coat here.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit chilly for you. Alright, so I'll show them this. I guess this is what James is going to talk about a bit. So, I don't know what that will be like. But, anyway, so I just watched a couple seasons of Last Man Standing so far, and I put this on hold at the library. And yeah, I've finished season 2 now. So I put this on hold at the library, and when I saw it on the shelf, I picked this up and I saw Tim Allen there. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be dreadful. And then I had it on and I was writing poetry and doing whatever, right? And I actually laughed a few times. So, it's, I mean, there's a lot of things in this. Really, it's kind of different because I can't remember what was that last show that he was in called that was really popular with the...
Something Time? Tool Time?
I think that's it.
Yeah, I always thought he was a tool. But,
yeah. And in that show, he was kind of like the butt of the joke, you know, like he was...
You mean Tim Allen?
Yeah.
No, there was a guy who was like Ed McMahon, kind of like a little bit blocky, who was kind of the butt of the jokes. His sidekick?
I don't think he was. I think everyone liked that guy.
But, okay.
That guy was the real handyman.
Oh, I didn't really watch it well enough. I thought everyone was laughing at him.
No.
Okay.
No, Tim Allen's his character was the star of the show, but
I don't know if I ever watched
the
an entire show, you know, because Tim Allen reminded me of a relative of mine.
Yeah.
Long dead.
In that show, people didn't like Tim Allen. He was.
Well, who would? I mean, he's a creep. Gather. In real life, he's actually done jail time. Maybe he hasn't, you know, but
I don't know.
I've heard
You'll have to look that up because I don't know. Anyway, but in this one, it's I mean, it should bother me more, right? In this one, he's not the butt of the joke. He's he works in an outdoor outfitters kind of shop, right?
Oh, it's a guy thing.
Yeah, and it's totally a guy movie, or TV series. And
Last Man Standing, Man Standing.
And so this is volume 1 I have. I guess there's more of them. It must have been popular. It's the first I've seen of it. But, I mean, we don't have real TV. What we have is whatever I borrow from the library. Which I think is way better. It's a way better system. You don't have to pay a cable bill, and then you get to watch a show like all at once. You don't have to wait for next week's episode.
Yeah, it seems to kick right in.
Yeah,
no ads either.
Exactly. It's just way better.
You know, like every so occasionally, like, you know, like I'll go visit relatives or something like that, and sometimes one of my relatives puts me up in a hotel or something.
And watching TV is a bit of a novelty.
It's a novelty until I get that, not the first ad, but the cycle of the ad.
Yeah.
You know, like you get it again, and you go, that's like a 1-2 punch from George Foreman. And you know, if you continue watching, it'll be on again and again and again. It didn't used to be that way, I don't think. I think they know that if they just keep on pummeling your eardrums and your eyeballs with these things, that eventually you're going to succumb and buy their horrible, horrible services or goods.
But yeah, the show is funny. I laughed a number of times.
You have laughed. It's I even heard it. I'm a witness to it.
And I mean, some things about it are a little bit sad. You know, the fact that his wife is a geologist, and yet he's the one who makes like 70% of the income of the family, and he's
What does he do exactly?
Marketing, I guess. He's somehow involved with management at that outfitter store.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know.
And
most geologists are going to be working out of university, going to make huge coin.
well, yeah, a lot of them do make huge amounts of money, but apparently he makes even more.
Yeah, I ran across one study, and I think it was true.
Some salesmen make a lot of money.
Yeah. If he's a management person, especially in private enterprise. And this study indicated that the people the most handsomely or prettily remunerated in our society, North American or Western society, for their amount of education are business people. That came as no surprise. They're really not suited oftentimes for doing the stuff they do. That's why so many businesses fail. That's why American business does so poorly. Generally, the flunkies don't have enough education to compete with the Germans. German people actually have an educational system.
Yeah. So anyway, it's about a man who is living in a household with 4 other women. So his 3 teenage daughters and his wife.
And his wife.
And so he's...
and he's a little bit whipped, shall we say?
Well, I mean, no. Because he's this...
He's always making fun of them, then?
Well, I don't know.
It's a guy
they
show,
seem to get along okay, but he's a sort of... What's the word for it? He's not like a survivalist or anything, but he's...
Rebarbative? Like
I mean, there'd be a lot of words to describe him, but that's not the one I'm looking for.
Off-putting?
Not the one I'm looking for.
Okay.
But
Fine.
anyway...
See, that's the impression I get of Tim Allen. Maybe he's giving a slightly different impression.
He's doing a good job in this. I'll say that. Even if he perhaps doesn't suit the role perfectly, he's pulling it off pretty well in this. I laughed several times. So, and I'm still watching it, even though there's a lot of parts in here that I'm not the target audience for this at all. I might be the opposite of the target audience for this, but whatever.
Well, I might be too.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to. Just when I peek in and look at it, I don't know. I just don't like the guy.
Yeah.
I don't think of him as being an actor. And some people can pull that off, like John Ritter, or whatever his name was, in Three's Company.
Yeah. Not
he
really
was
an
able
actor,
to do
but
humor.
Yeah.
Pretty darn well, actually. Another guy. Was it Al Bundy on...
oh, yeah.
Not really an actor, but he was pretty good. And it wasn't just in that show.
No, we
remember he
liked
was
him
in
the other
another
one too,
family show.
Yeah, I can't remember the name
but,
of it just now. We've reviewed it several times.
He plays
there
a
were
good
many seasons of it.
Bundy head or butt head or whatever you want to call him.
He's great. But yeah, Tim Allen is not somebody I would ever want to meet. Yeah.
I thought it never occurred to me. But now I'm wringing my hands with distress.
I mean, he is playing a role here that is believable.
Well,
and it's not, this is not
made up, really?
I don't think so. There's so many people like that. It's just we don't know them personally because we don't hang out with them, and they would never hang out with us. And
thank heaven.
But there's a lot of aggressive people who have a lot of money and live very differently from us in this society. So, and well, this is in the United States, so I don't know. But honestly, I don't know really if the United States is that much different.
No.
But there's some things, like one thing bothered me seeing, and I know it shouldn't because it's just whatever. I realize that people eat them. but there was a mallard duck male who they had him on the kitchen counter, and they were gonna get him ready for dinner. Right, he was dead. And I mean, this guy, he works in an outdoor outfitter's place, and yeah, he's shooting ducks to bring home for dinner and whatever, right? There's a lot of people that do that. And honestly, if you're gonna eat meat, you should be able to kill it, or you have no business eating it, as far as I'm concerned. So
and really, I don't have much respect for you if you go after them with guns.
no,
Particularly shotguns, you know, like take a
that's
bow and arrow
a little
after a
bit
duck.
easier.
A
Yeah.
shotgun is just, there's a
But
crowd of
it
them.
made me think about the mallard ducks, because we went to Japanese gardens recently. I've only seen, I think, one male mallard, no, maybe two this summer, because we lost a lot of ducks around here a couple years back over the winter.
No, just geese. Yeah.
And not just geese, yeah. We lost a lot of Canada geese and a lot of
It was
ducks.
awful.
And so we really aren't seeing nearly, like they used to be so common. It used to be so common seeing mallard ducks. But we were at the Japanese gardens, and it was all females, and we're like, whoa, what happened to all the boys? You know, because the boys are beautiful, the green heads, shiny and whatever, and I'm wondering if people are out taking them out. And I mean, right now, I don't think they should be. We lost so many. But I don't know if a lot of the time the people who are in charge with environmental controls, as for like hunting quotas and whatever, they seem to serve the hunters more than the environment.
You serve
so
the ducks for a while.
I don't know.
Guys.
Anyway, but eventually they're going to have to do something, or the hunters won't have anything to hunt. So
Yeah, the smarter hunters get involved in ducks on limit,
Yeah.
and they try to preserve wetlands and stuff like that.
Sure, because I mean they want something to shoot at. So whatever. I mean, whatever works. But anyway, it just made me sad seeing that mallard duck, because it reminded me of not seeing mallard males, right? Seeing that
Yeah.
handsome.
And hunters,
And thinking,
not a
what is happening
conservationist,
to
is
them?
it? Like 90 years old and doesn't have
Yeah.
much future. Or just a dork.
Anyway, so you wanted to talk about Interrogations, the Nazi Elite in Allied Hands, 1945.
Well read, upside down. That was almost as fast as I can read right side up. And not out loud. So, this one, of course, because it's about Nazis, the Guardian had to have two blurbs. You don't see
Two?
that? Yeah, on the front page. Of course, the Guardian is the left-wing newspaper of record, Manchester Guardian, in England. The Times of London. You see how they even put it in brackets in case people don't understand? Because I guess you got the New York Times.
Oh, yes.
They only got one, from what I can see here. So, of course, lefties love this because they're always going around saying Nazis are right-wingers, and they're not. They're left-wingers. They're just nationalist left-wingers.
Yeah, I remember the first time I learned that. I'd taken a social studies class from a man who was a Jewish man, and he pointed that out to me. I was sure that they were right-wingers, and he was like, no, they were socialists. So a lot of people don't realize that.
I got no clue. Anyway, this thing comes highly recommended. The guy does occasionally, Richard Oakley. It's spelled different from the Oakley that you guys hear about. This is so good. I can't resist. I'd rather do it than do the...
Thank you. I managed to dress up hot dog buns, okay? I didn't buy the hot dog buns.
I think the hot dog buns are the worst thing
when we
When
come
we're
across
talking
a free
about
barbecue
breads.
thing, then I save the buns for him, and dogs get the
Yeah,
the
so
meat.
she's managed to
that's-
make it so that I'm not tasting the grease off the
Yeah, because it
wieners.
would have had some of those. Yeah.
Anyway, he's got some pretty good pictures.
I'm glad you eat it, because I don't think the dogs would. I remember Copper didn't.
Oh,
Our
they
old
would eat it.
Basset Hound.
If
He-
I were
he didn't-
eating
he was
some
so
and then
picky.
gave them stuff that was saturated with a little bit of the hot dog grease, oh, they'd love it.
Mm.
But oftentimes, if you get like if I gave him, especially Albus, a little bit of celery or a fair amount of it, he wouldn't eat it.
Mhm.
But if I'm chowing down on celery and giving him a little bit, that he's part of the family, I'm part of the family, that sort of stuff. It's funny, dog psychology. I guess it's a little bit like people psychology. Anyway, the best part of the book are the actual interrogations of these. Most of these flunkies, like this guy, wasn't actually killed. They gave him he was actually third in the line of succession, or second in line of succession after Hitler. If Hitler died, then it was supposed to be this guy who would take over, Hermann Goering, or Goring as we mispronounce it. And then Rudolf Hess would be third in line, but he ended up being kind of sidelined because he was a bit of a weirdo. And early on,
I think you're going to have to unpack that, because I mean, when
What,
you're
he's a
talking about
weirdo?
Nazi weirdos, yeah.
well, even they thought he was a weirdo. So that's how he got sidelined. I mean, you look at this guy. This guy was not a weirdo in the Nazi thing. So he's the guy who. So this is Rudolf Hess. This is Rudolf Hess, or House, or however we might
Oh, wow.
mispronounce it.
So I guess Rudolph was a pretty popular name, and
Yeah, so this guy was Rudolph the Long-Nosed Liar. Oh, he was incredible. He was going around saying, I don't remember. They finally caught him, but the interrogator, it was an experienced kind of guy, I guess, in jurisprudence and stuff like that, didn't follow up. He said, well, Goering was a war criminal. And Hess says, no, he wasn't. Uh-oh. See, no.
But he doesn't remember
the
it.
guy jumps, the guy jumps on and says, well, how do you remember Goering? You said you... Well, like he's up there in the indictment with me. But you see, he's saying he's not a war criminal. How would he know?
Mm-hmm.
But the guy didn't follow up on that. This guy was fairly sharp, even though he had... But anyway, this guy was the head of the camp at Auschwitz. Yeah, horrible guy. It's funny, one of his flunkies is in here getting interviewed. And the flunky was responsible for putting people in the showers where they were showered with. It was kind of like a gas. It was solid stuff that was turned into a gas. This cleaning agent. And then he was responsible for taking the bodies out. And he's saying, well, I'm not guilty. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, somebody's racing along.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
it's
he
nice.
insisted that he be interviewed along with this guy, his boss. And his boss just blew the whistle on it. He said, well, he did this. And the guy was such a flunky. He said, yeah, I did it. I hope the guy, I'm pretty sure this guy was put to death. He deserved it. I really don't believe in the death penalty, but when people kill over and over, what do you do? It's not like something done in passion. They have time to think about it, all that sort of stuff. And I kind of hope that Otto Moll, M-O-L-L, died along with this guy. We'd be in each other's arms. I don't know. Yeah, here he is. Look kind of weaselly. This is the Rudolf Hess, not Hess. And he was a weird duck. He stole a Luftwaffe plane, Air Force plane. He was apparently a very good pilot. And he flew to England and he was I think did he want to speak to the king of England? I can't remember. Anyway, he wanted to carry out negotiations with England so England would come on the side of Germany against Russia, because he knew that Russia was. This was just he flew over there just before Germany attacked Russia in 1941. Flew over to England, and he knew that Germany would lose a two-front war. That's how they lost. Well, actually, they didn't lose a two-front war in World War I. They won on the Russian front. The Russians surrendered basically after the Russian Revolution. But anyway, there was this idea. Hitler even had it. Talks about it all the time in Mein Kampf. That he couldn't afford to get involved in a two-front war, and then he proceeds to do it. He's already planning it, and Rudolf Hess goes over to England. He would have been saying, Hitler would say this too, I want to guarantee the British Empire. Like I want to have a land empire. We're all Germans after all, and yes, the English people are German. They came from Germany, and not too long ago, 1,500 years ago, about 500 AD, and they stole England, the British Isles, basically, most of it, from the natives, who were Celtic people, as far as we know, and stuff like that. Anyway, people figure he's crazy. No, he was really sharp, because the interrogators kept on thinking that they were catching him in his lies and stuff like that. But he'd always come way out of it, like, we caught you about Goering. No, it's right there up on the indictment, like you couldn't call him crazy. I mean, he was, a psychopath or something like that, like most of these things. They actually were able to survive. And the weird thing about him was, like at a certain point when the trials were about to come, I think when the trials were about to begin or something like that, he said, I was just making it up. I actually was guilty of all this sort of stuff. And then, when the trial actually begins, then he said, I've lost my memory again. But how would he remember that he'd actually lost his memory? Did he say that? I can't remember. What did it do? But he'd actually gotten out of there before the real bad stuff started in Russia. Because, they already done some bad stuff in Poland, but they did some bad stuff in Russia. And stuff like that. Like, they didn't even bother sending the Jews to gas ovens. They just shot them on the field, kind of. They said the German army was involved with that, but the German army guys fought that successfully. The German army guys said, we had nothing to do with that. We fought honorably, all this sort of stuff. And never mind that they attacked Russia when they actually had a peace treaty with them, but they tended to like doing that. They attacked a lot of countries. It was 12 countries all told that were at peace with Germany, and I think 2 of them at least, Holland and Belgium, were neutral. So incredible. I love this guy. Here's the guy. He's arrested in his jammies. So I put here, Bobsy. His real name is Robert Ley. Ley, and I put Bobsy still in his jammies. But apparently that's what his wife called him, Bobsy. It spelled a little bit different. So there you go, Bobsy Ley. He ended up committing suicide. He kind of looks like Curly of the Three Stooges, but he was a nasty guy. He admitted his anti-Semitism. But couldn't bear the shame of being treated as a common criminal.
Yeah, a lot of people.
The shame would have been a criminal, but being treated as a criminal, he ended up hanging himself with
Well,
part
I think
of his
that they
scalp.
like to have control, so I think a lot of aggressive people, they don't want the other people to get the satisfaction of taking them down, right?
Yeah,
So they
I
take
don't
themselves
know.
down.
Here's one guy. They should have been talking to guys like this. The way they were talking to one guy, I don't know what happened to this guy. Funk was his. I think his guards must have had a great time with him, because Funk, or Funk as you say it in German, something like that, means something entirely. It actually means spark or something like that. So a Funkhaus is a radio transmitting place. station,
Oh.
radio station. Funk. So when the Rolling Stones were singing, "There's fever in the funk house now," you're thinking, "Oh, it's a funk house," or something. But it'd be in a radio station. I'm trying to find this picture. There's some great pictures. Oh, here's Rudolph Hess when he's being interrogated. He's wearing his the stuff he was wearing as a flyer 4 years before. I don't know what the point was. I'm really crazy because I'm wearing this sweaty old stuff from. Oh, these guys were real doofuses. Oh yeah, here's Fritz Zaukel. He really had it bad because he had the old Charlie Chaplin mustache. I think he was hung. I don't think they should hang him, but maybe they should have just ripped out that ugly little mustache by its roots. I don't know. Oh, here, here, this guy was crying and all this sort of stuff. Now he was head of the German central bank and economics minister for a while. He was in poor health and shocked at being thought a war criminal. So Funk denied almost everything about his close connection with the seizure of Jewish assets, which would include probably, as I recall, gold from
most of the money in the central bank.
well, it was actually gold taken from Jewish people's teeth and stuff like that, like dead people. Anyway, he was crying, and this one American. I don't think he was a general. I mean, you could make a whole movie about this guy. Colonel, he was just Colonel Burton C. Andrus, commander of the security detachment at Ashcan. I like what they call it. These guys were in the ash heap of history. That's what they called the jail. They put these guys in Ashcan. Hilarious. Anyway, you see this guy. When this guy starts crying, he says, "Stand up, Funk!" And then he says, "Be a man, Funk." But they should have been telling it to all of these flunkies, especially the ones that looked as though they're going to commit suicide. Be a man. That's one thing that has to be said about the fat field marshal. Where is he? Come on now, Hermann Göring. I like saying Göring because it has gore in it. But he was the head of the Luftwaffe, and he was called by one guy who wrote history of the Third Reich, the Fat Field Marshal. But he ended up being a Reich Marshal, which was maybe was the first one in German history, Hermann Göring. And he loved art treasures. He plundered a lot of them. But I mean, he was a horrible guy, but at least he had a sense of humor. He was telling his guards, or his interrogators actually, like if the shoe had been, or the boot had been the other foot, we'd have you under great duress, and behind you'd have two guards with bayonets sticking their bayonets into your buttocks and stuff like that. Apparently the guards kind of had a lot of laughs with this guy. The laughs ended when he committed suicide. He was a coward too, ultimately. Here's a beautiful picture here. Which one is the aristocrat? They're both prisoners. Yeah, it's an amazing picture. So there you go. Konstantin, so it's von Neureich.